They lied to you. Every history book you've ever opened is missing a foundational chapter of vital truth deliberately excised from the story of American democracy. The first woman who dared to run for president wasn't just forgotten, she was systematically erased, her name scrubbed from the national consciousness, her radical vision buried under a mountain of scandal. In the next few moments, you will journey back to a pivotal yet deliberately obscured period of American history. You'll uncover the breathtaking audacity of Victoria Woodhull, the courageous pioneer who launched a presidential campaign decades before women even had the right to vote. We'll reveal the specific, groundbreaking planks of her platform, ideas so far ahead of their time they still resonate today. And will expose the cynical, brutal tactics used by her political opponents and the sensationalist press, deploying charges of free love and obscenity to silence her revolutionary voice, forever altering the trajectory of American progress. When most people think of women in American politics, their minds often leap to figures like Shirley Chisholm, the first African-American woman to seek a major party's presidential nomination, or perhaps Geraldine Ferraro, the first female vice presidential candidate on a major ticket. Some might even recall Hillary Clinton's historic runs in the 21st century. These are important milestones, certainly. They represent decades, nearly a century and a half, of grinding, difficult progress. The official narrative suggests a slow, steady ascent, beginning with the suffrage movement's fight for the ballot, gradually expanding women's participation in civic life. It's a comfortable, linear story, neatly packaged for textbooks. It implies that before the late 1900s, women simply weren't contenders for the highest office because the social and political landscape simply didn't allow it. That perception, however, is a carefully constructed illusion. Imagine America just after the Civil War. The nation was grappling with Reconstruction, defining citizenship and charting a new future. Women's roles were rigidly prescribed. A woman's place, according to prevailing societal norms, was in the home. Her sphere was domestic, her influence indirect. To step onto a political platform, much less to campaign for the presidency, was an act of unthinkable rebellion. The very idea was deemed ludicrous, scandalous, and utterly unladylike. Yet, in this restrictive environment, an extraordinary woman emerged from the most unlikely of backgrounds. Her name was Victoria Claflin Woodhull, and she was born in obscurity in Ohio, one of 10 children to a notoriously unconventional family. From a young age, she defied every expectation. She worked as a spiritual medium, a traveling clairvoyant, using her supposed connection to the spirit world to support her family. Then, in an almost unbelievable leap, she and her sister, Tennessee Claflin, moved to New York City and, with the unlikely backing of Cornelius Vanderbilt, became the first female stockbrokers on Wall Street. Yes, you heard that correctly. Before she ever dreamed of the White House, she was breaking barriers on the trading floor, making a fortune in a world entirely dominated by men. This wasn't just a woman who wanted a voice. This was a woman who already had one, and who had proven herself a formidable force in business and public life. It was a clear demonstration that Woodhull possessed an unparalleled drive and an almost superhuman resilience, qualities that would soon be tested to their absolute limits. If you find this story as utterly captivating as I do, this moment of unearthing truly overlooked historical evidence, then please consider taking a second to like this video and subscribe to History Decoded. It's how the platform knows these vital, inconvenient truths matter, and it directly supports our relentless digging into the archives to bring you more stories like Victoria Woodhull's, stories that challenge the accepted narratives and fill in the deliberate gaps left by official history. But her ambitions extended far beyond finance. Victoria Woodhull believed women deserved not just economic independence, but full political equality. She published her own newspaper, Woodhull and Claflin's Weekly, a platform for radical ideas, including women's suffrage, labor reform, and even spiritualism. She became a prominent lecturer, captivating audiences with her eloquent, passionate arguments for equality. Then, in April of 1872, the impossible happened. At a convention of radical reformers, including representatives from the National Woman Suffrage Association, Victoria Woodhull was nominated by the newly formed Equal Rights Party as their candidate for President of the United States. For president. 48 years before the 19th Amendment guaranteed women the right to vote, a woman's name was on a presidential ballot. Her de facto running mate? None other than Frederick Douglass, though he never publicly acknowledged the nomination, a detail that perfectly encapsulates the tumultuous and often contradictory nature of the era. The official story would have you believe this moment never happened, but the evidence, from newspaper reports to political convention records, paints a vividly different picture. So, why don't we know her name? What monumental event could possibly overshadow such an unprecedented political candidacy? This is where the accepted history dramatically diverges from the chilling truth. Victoria Woodhull's campaign wasn't just ignored, it was systematically destroyed. Her platform was revolutionary, not merely for its time, but even by modern standards. She advocated for universal suffrage, demanding not just votes for women, but for all adult citizens regardless of race, gender, or social standing. She championed an 8-hour workday, a graduated income tax, and government-provided welfare programs for the poor. She called for the abolition of capital punishment. But the most explosive, the most scandalous plank of her platform, the one that the establishment seized upon to obliterate her, was her impassioned advocacy for what she termed free love. Now, free love in the 1870s did not mean unbridled promiscuity, as her detractors deliberately twisted it to imply. For Woodhull, it was a radical assertion of a woman's fundamental right to bodily autonomy, the freedom to choose her partners without legal or social coercion, and to leave a marriage if love and respect were absent. It was an argument for personal liberty, for women's control over their own lives and bodies, against the oppressive legal and social structures that often trapped them in abusive or unhappy unions. She believed that moral choice, not legal obligation, should govern relationships. This idea, combined with her open discussions of sexual double standards, how men could have affairs with impunity while women were ruined, was a direct assault on the Victorian moral code and the male power structure it protected. And the backlash was swift, brutal, and terrifyingly effective. The mainstream press, particularly figures like Thomas Nast in Harper's Weekly, depicted her as a moral monster, a Jezebel, a dangerous threat to the very fabric of society. Political opponents, lacking any substantive counter-argument to her progressive policies, defaulted to character assassination. Then came the weaponization of the law. On November 2, 1872, just days before the presidential election, Victoria Woodhull, her sister Tennessee Claflin, and her husband, James Blood, were arrested. The charge? Obscenity. Specifically, they were accused of sending obscene material through the mail, a violation of the notorious Comstock Act, a draconian piece of legislation designed to suppress anything deemed immoral. The instigator behind this legal persecution was Anthony Comstock himself, a zealous moral crusader who held immense power over the postal service. Woodhull's obscene material was an exposé published in her newspaper, revealing the alleged extramarital affair of a prominent preacher, Henry Ward Beecher, a man considered a moral paragon by millions. She exposed the hypocrisy of the powerful, and they responded by silencing her with the full force of the law. The court records, the detailed newspaper clippings from the time, they paint a harrowing picture of a woman besieged, her political message drowned out by the salacious details of her private life, real or imagined. Her campaign was torpedoed, her reputation irrevocably stained, her vision for a more equitable America cast aside as the ramblings of a loose woman. The implications of this deliberate erasure are profound, and they reshape how we understand American history. Victoria Woodhull's story isn't just about a failed presidential campaign. It's about a deliberate act of historical suppression, a powerful demonstration of how mainstream institutions can silence inconvenient truths and radical voices. Her legal battles, though she was ultimately acquitted of the charges, effectively ended her political career in the United States. She eventually moved to England, remarried, and continued to advocate for women's rights and social reform, but never again sought political office. Her treatment reveals a dark truth. The fight for women's rights was never a polite, unified march. While figures like Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton pushed for suffrage, Woodhull represented a far more radical edge, advocating for economic, social, and sexual liberation alongside the vote. And it was this comprehensive vision that proved too threatening, not just to men in power, but even to some more conservative factions within the women's movement itself, who feared her radicalism would discredit their cause. In the next few moments, it was this comprehensive vision that proved too threatening, not just to men in power, but even to some more conservative factions within the women's movement itself, who feared her radicalism would discredit their cause. In the next few moments, it was this comprehensive vision that proved too threatening, not just to men in power, but even to Simtweek's frame rates that changed the narrative. Might her radicalism proved too threatening, not just to men, but to women? And how might the entire trajectory of American social progress have shifted? We are not talking about marginal figures here. We are talking about the deliberate burial of a blueprint for a more equitable society. The contemporary accounts, the court transcripts, the scathing editorials, they are not merely historical curiosities. They are evidence of a concerted effort to remove a woman and her ideas from the historical record, ensuring that future generations would believe such a groundbreaking figure simply did not exist. You can no longer look at the path to women's suffrage as a simple linear progression. It was a battlefield, and figures like Victoria Woodhull were on the absolute front lines, paying an extraordinary price for ideas that were centuries ahead of their time. Her fight wasn't just for a vote, it was for a fundamental redefinition of freedom itself. What part of Woodhull's platform were you never taught in school? Like this video now so you can easily find this remarkable revelation the next time you encounter the story of American political pioneers. Victoria Woodhull's story rips a hole in the fabric of accepted American political history, revealing the deliberate silence surrounding figures who dared to dream too big, too soon. This is just one of countless hidden chapters, a testament to the fact that the stories we think we know are often just the surface. Deeper down, beneath the layers of official narratives and convenient omissions, lies a rich tapestry of forgotten heroes, suppressed movements, and revolutionary ideas waiting to be rediscovered. Subscribe to History Decoded now, and don't miss the next truth we unearth from the shadows of forgotten archives.